What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another custom human video here on the channel. Today I'm going to take you through step by step how I made my custom Ellie Sattler battle damage style figure, like how she appears at the end of Jurassic Park with her blue top on. We're going to start off, you only need an Ellie Sattler figure. There are no other parts required, so I'm going to kick it off here with the X-Acto knife. And what we need to start doing is removing some of the bulk of material on her shirt, because I'm going to be using her torso as the blue tank top. So I'm going to take the X-Acto knife, cut away most of that bulk material that's on there on the sculpted detail, and then take some fine grit sandpaper and go through and start sanding it all down. And what I'll do is I'll kind of go back and forth between the sandpaper and the X-Acto knife. I'll cut some stuff off, sand it down. I don't want to take off too much and break through the plastic because it is kind of thin. So just take your time with this section here and make sure that you get most of that material off so it just looks relatively smooth for when you go to paint it. Now with all the sanding done on her torso, I'm going to work on the arms here, and I'll show you how I start off with this. First, what I'm going to do is take an X-Acto knife, and what I want to do is trim out all of the plastic on the inside of the shoulder joint right here, and take a little bit of the fine grit sandpaper, roll it up, and then stick it inside the joint, and then twist it and sand it down so it's really smooth, so there's a nice little gap, so there's no plastic on plastic rubbing. That's really going to help later on when I go to paint this, and I can still move her around and not risk chipping any of the paint off or scraping any of the paint off that's going to be painted on her arms, because these are going to be the bare bicep part of her arms. So I'm going to take the Dremel tool, and what I want to do is shave off a majority of the bulk of that material that's on her arms, like the rolled up sleeve and the little sculpted details where the fabric has kind of got folds in it and wrinkles or whatever. So I want to trim that down with the Dremel tool. Now you don't have to use a Dremel tool. This just kind of cuts it down in half. It really makes it a little bit quicker. You can just use sandpaper, just work your way down from a really high grit sandpaper to a very fine grit sandpaper. But you just want to go real slow at this point. You don't want to take off too much material, because you want to you don't want to rip through the plastic. That's the last thing that you want to do. So you want to go real slow with this. Just kind of knock it off and hit all the little high areas and scrape them down real flat. And then after we're done with the Dremel tool, then we can move on in back with the fine grit sandpaper and start sanding it all down smooth so it looks like bare skin. So with all the prep work done and out of the way, it's time to start painting. I'm using Vallejo Basic Flesh Tone for her arms, and I'll show you here that you can apply it by hand. Just do several coats of this stuff until you get a nice even coverage. I'm actually going to be painting it with the airbrush because it makes it go by a little bit quicker, but you can do this by hand if you don't have an airbrush. So now I'm going to be painting her shirt, and I'm using Apple Barrel Cool Blue for the base color, and just apply a couple of thin coats and see where it goes from there. I think I had to do about 3 on this shirt because the blue doesn't cover very well. And now I'm mixing in some golden indigo blue in with that cool blue to darken it up and to make it look a little bit more accurate to what the color of the shirt is that she has on in the movie. So now I'm trying something new for the first time. We're going to be using Mod Podge to seal everything up. We're just going to see how it goes. Do several thin coats of this stuff, and it goes on a little hazy, but it does dry clear, and hopefully it will protect from any paint rubbing from when I'm moving her joints around, so we'll see. I've never used it before to seal anything, but we're going to see how it goes. I can't beat it. It's like a couple of bucks for a little bottle of that stuff, so we'll just test it out and see what happens. So another little tip too for when you're painting stuff is to get a little bottle of super glue that comes with the brush, and you can brush on some super glue around certain areas, and the super glue will actually protect the paint from rubbing off. So that's a little tip that you guys might want to try out. So the last little step before we call this custom done, I'm going to add some transparent burnt umber wash onto her blonde hair and get it down inside to all the little crevices and everything like that. This is going to sort of act like dirt in her hair, because if you look at some of the pictures, her hair is kind of sweaty and grimy looking because she's been running from raptors in the jungle and stuff like that. So her hair is not going to be all pretty looking like it was when she first got to the island. So this transparent wash is going to sort of act as a grime in her hair. And then what we're going to do is move over here to her right shoulder. And when Ray Arnold's arm falls on her in the maintenance shed, she gets some blood on her shoulder and on her shirt. And I'm just using Apple Barrel, a dark red, to recreate and sort of give it the illusion that she's got some blood dripping down her shirt. And pretty much everything else is all just like dirt details to make her look dirty and grimy. Transparent burnt umber washes, things like that. Brush it on, wipe it off with your finger, but other than that, that's pretty much it for this custom. I'm going to go ahead and call her done. Guys, I appreciate you all sticking around and watching the video. I hope you found the information provided useful, and it helps you get out there and make some killer legacy custom figures. Remember, for more Jurassic Park related content, you guys know where to find me. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I will see you in the next video.